chaos. The stock market is crazy and chaotic.
Oh my God, are you seeing this shit, bro? Tesla closed at 695. What the hell is going on?
Brad and Fat Man Zoom are here to help you own it.
Now with IBM getting here, I think it's just going to come more to the forefront, and people are going to get more and more eyeballs on Salesforce. Should see a really nice move.
Taking it to the suits, being relatable and hilarious.
We got D's nuts in the crew. Every crew needs D's nuts. You know what D's nuts' #1 holding is? Big C.
Get ready to own the chaos in 3, 2, 1.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Own the Chaos. I can't get enough of these nuts. I just had to say it.
Oh my God.
I gotta fix my collar too. Looked like it was all jacked up. What's up, everybody? Happy New Year! It's New Year's Eve, and of course you knew we were gonna be here. We're always here for you guys. The stock market is crazy and chaotic. If you guys are visiting for the first time, we're here to help you own it. And if you're returning, welcome back. Good to see you guys. Good to see peeps in the Chaos crew. I'm not expecting much today from just the market overall, and it hasn't really produced much except for Tesla. And I will let you know that I ended up getting into a little day trade on Tesla. It looked like a really nice bull flag pattern here on the intraday chart. And so actually I got into that, have not yet stopped out, continues to move up. Looks like it may end up running too late in the day. So we'll talk about that. And also Fat Man Zoom's plans for Tesla, get your guys' thoughts as well. My man, how you doing today? I'm digging that
good,
sweatshirt,
man.
by the way.
I love when you just take all the stuff I'm going to talk about. I run out of things to say. I don't know. I'm good.
I was setting the table.
I'm good, bro. That's all I got.
I'm digging that sweatshirt.
Thanks, man. I'm supporting the crew.
So it has been kind of a weird day. It looks like most of the stuff has been selling off, but Tesla obviously making some really strong moves later here in the day.
Yeah, I mean, you could just jump in today. You could have just hung with me.
Yeah.
I've been hanging in, baby. It's been fun.
I know.
You're here sweating, trying to find an entry. I'm just kicking back, my feet up, just enjoying the ride.
Yeah, admittedly, I ended up selling the rest of my position, but I mean, I sold a good amount of it up in the high 600s, and so I was really happy with that. And then it came back down to mid sixes, low sixes, and that's where I ended up selling the rest of my position and was trying to figure out where to get back in. Here we are. But I'm just making a short little day trade. I actually show you guys what I ended up doing with it. So if you guys can look at the chart here, I actually noticed that we got a pretty nice looking bull flag pattern here on the 5-minute chart, just intraday. So I decided to just take a small day trade, nothing crazy. It looks as if there could be potential for a nice little breakout towards the end of the day. So that's kind of what I'm banking on. As you can see, I got to stop in at 712. So, we'll see where it goes. If I get tripped out, it's not like it's too much of a loss if it ends up happening. But if not, it looks like there's still plenty of upside here.
Yeah, I actually just posted a video on my Fat Man Zoom channel. So if you guys don't follow Fat Man Zoom, check it out. I kind of broke down the bull case, bear case for Tesla and why next week is a big week. And I gave some extra stuff, but like the gist of it was, the move that it made. And we've been looking for 700 for a while, right? Like 695 was the previous high.
Yep.
And then it's been kind of trying to work its way back towards that. And so it's just been tough because, Tesla usually gives you an opportunity in entry. It hasn't been that much of a pullback yet, but we know it's volatile. We'll know there'll be opportunities. For me, I'm looking to see if this 700 establishes a new support or somewhere just over. But if it breaks back below that 695, I think it's a whole different conversation. But in your mind, what do you attribute this move to? Because I think there could be an argument for multiple catalysts for why it's moving right now.
Absolutely. I think there's going to be a lot of speculation on as to why this is moving. But I think the biggest catalyst for me, or the biggest reason it might be moving, especially over the last couple of days, is this 500,000 vehicle production number. Can they do it? Can they actually come in and get that 500K vehicles produced in 2020? What's their outlook going to be for 2021? I think that's what a lot of people are anticipating. if they somehow project 800 to 900K vehicles for 2021, I think that's what's I think it's what's weighing on a lot of people's minds and why this is probably making the move that it is today and yesterday.
Yeah. I actually mentioned this in my video, but I was curious if like we think they're going to actually give a forecast for next year now, or wait till maybe they just give the numbers and then wait till earnings or right before earnings leak it kind of deal. What do you think they will give the numbers when they release their 2020 numbers?
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, why wouldn't they? I would imagine that would be the most appropriate time to do it. And they might even do it beforehand. And so I think that's why you're starting to see some of this buying going on leading up to that. And man, I would imagine that we see some pretty solid numbers from them in their upcoming earnings report, not just from the previous quarter, but projections and outlook is going to be really nice too, I think.
Yeah, I think it is. And there's a lot of great opportunities for Tesla. And we mentioned it in our bull predictions video. So if you guys haven't watched the bull predictions video, we put it out yesterday.
People love that video, man. Yeah, it went out last night. It's
weird because we film it the day before, so my days get all messed up. Yeah. And then we watch like the edits and all that other stuff. Yep. So, if we say Spirit Airlines, but we actually mean Spirit Aero Systems, we can catch those kind of things.
Or not.
But it's funny, like the original edits, like all the things that we catch, but then there's always something.
There's always something, and man, it was kind of cool, like there was a flashback in last night's video from January of 2020, so pretty much a year ago, and it's wild to see how far I've come personally, and just the channel's come, and then having you come on to it in 2020. 2020 has had a lot of really shitty things happen in this year, but it's been awesome for the channel. It's been awesome for our community. You guys have been great, and I'm really. It's kind of like a bittersweet thing for me because I'm really happy about the way that things have just grown and progressed, especially when you look at something that's happened a year ago and you're like, man, it's been such a difference.
Well, there's no funnier video to watch. And for the OGs on this channel that know about the Barcast that we have it. It's dormant. It's going to get relaunched again in 2021.
Yeah.
But that first video we created on the Barcast, especially for me, like I look like a deer in headlights. I look sick. I look white. Like I'm just like a mess. And I'm just like, and number 5.
I forgot about that. That was at Barco. I forgot about that.
Yeah. But anyways, like there's a lot what I was saying was in our bold predictions videos, there's a lot of catalysts. However, the one thing I will say is Tesla's had a nice run of things going well for them.
Yeah.
If there are any hiccups or issues, like I think Q1's going to really set the stage for the rest of the year because there's a lot of things that can go wrong.
Yes.
If something goes wrong for Tesla, I think you're going to see the stock drop. Now, it remains bullish long term, but I think you will see a pretty substantial short-term drop. And I think you're seeing the run because everything's kind of clicking and going right at the same time.
Yeah, we're almost to a point to where it's starting to feel as if it's this high and any kind of reason to give people to sell, they may take advantage of. So that's definitely something to keep in mind because this is literally just gone straight up over the last 5-6 trading days since it came down and bottomed out at around 613. So it definitely is due for a pullback, which is why I'm only in for a day trade. I am waiting on this to kind of hop in for a longer term swing trade after I ended up selling out. I mean, I made some really great profit. I was up 50%, made some really good profit on Tesla. So I'm not even mad at it. Just looking at some opportunities for, like I said, day trades or whatever. But I do think that we see some sort of correction on this one at some point. I don't know when that'll be. It's probably sooner rather than later. But that's when I'll be looking to capitalize on it the most is when we start to see a pretty significant correction on Tesla.
Yeah, so I think the next question becomes what next as far as like what do we expect from next week, the beginning of the year, 2020? Is this just sort of like a one-day thing or is this bleed into next week? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it probably man, it's a tough question. I think it does bleed a little bit into next week, but there's got to be some profit taking at some point, I would imagine.
I'm sorry. I'm not talking about Tesla. I mean, just kind of overall the market.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because the market, a lot of things are down today.
Right. So the reason there's a lot of things are down, some people are selling because they're already down, and they use this to write off some of their taxes. Like they'll take a loss. So that's why you usually see the last day of the year kind of be a little bit of a down day. I think we probably see some buying return by mid to late next week. We'll probably start to see buying return a lot of this stuff. But usually when you start to see, it's usually on New Year's Eve where you end up seeing a bit of a down day, because if you guys don't know already, you can write off up to $3,000 worth of losses. So if you're already red on something and you're looking to just kind of cut a bag, now's the time to do it so you can write it off, especially if you've had like an insane year, kind of like a lot of us have this year, on particular stocks that you might be red on.
Yeah, for sure. I have this hunch that I wanted to run by you, and we have these like tinfoil hat and analyst kind of theories, whatever.
Yeah.
And I've read this, so this isn't just something I've made up. How much of this Tesla move, right? So we have the sell-offs in the overall market with a lot of the stocks.
Yep.
But then you have something like Tesla that's continued to move, and that's like one of the top stocks of the year, if not the top stock of the year.
Yeah.
How much of this is like fund managers adding it to their portfolio to say like, oh, we have a position in Tesla? Like, is that something that is actually a reasonable statement?
I don't know. I think I would rather go with, there's probably a lot of short sellers that are looking to cut their losses before the end of the year, and maybe they're just covering as you're starting to, and that's why that could be another reason why you're starting to see this move up, or not starting, but seeing a nice move up on this over the last couple of days.
Yeah. Cause when at the end of the year, if you have a fund manager or a company that manages your finances, they'll show you what their holdings are. That doesn't mean that you got all that.
Right, right.
So they could say Tesla's been up 700%, and we hold, 5% position.
Yeah.
You don't have to, that doesn't mean you were in it the entire time. But that type of stuff doesn't pass. Like, I don't put it past those people, because I feel like it's just so ridiculous. Like that's why our channel has people here, because it's just the stuff like that, like the shadiness like that, and the manipulation and the things that go on.
Well, yeah,
really chaps my ass.
It does. And that's why we exist. That's why I decided to do this on my own, and you decided to do it on your own. And a lot of you guys are watching too. It's like, that you probably aren't too much. I mean, the suits that you pay to manage your funds for you, you could almost do a better job. And some of us do a much better job than they do. And you don't have to pay them the money to manage it. It's like, well, I know that I can do a better job, and I know that I don't have to pay you if I do it myself. So just do it. A lot of this doesn't take a whole lot of rocket science. It just takes discipline. And sometimes people don't have that kind of discipline. But if you do, and you know what you're doing, then you don't have to worry about, paying some guy that is going to tell you obvious things and, probably make the same kind of mistakes. And at the end of the day, if he loses your money, he still gets paid, which is crazy. So that's why we're here, folks.
So we got all these stocks that are red, and a lot of our portfolios are red. What are 3 stocks, 2 or 3 stocks that you feel like are just, you're chomping at the bit to scoop up with today's pullback?
So I already added to Square. I added some more Square. Mm-hmm. And then I also ended up adding to, what did I end up adding to? Oh, I ended up adding to Rocket today. So added to Rocket. And I'm also looking at Zoom. Zoom is down to 341. And I'm itching to get some Zoom. I just trying to wait to see if there's some buying to return, because it just seems to consistently be selling. I'm wondering if we potentially start to see this make a really nice move after the new year. Maybe there's some rumors that come around as far as S&P 500 inclusion. If that happens, I don't think Zoom sticks around in this 340 range or this mid 300 range for too much longer.
Yeah, oh man, I was looking at it today because we have it in the long-term portfolio, and we're about half position size on that.
Yeah.
So I think we have 2 more entries because we're taking Zoom slow because of, the uncertainty of where the stock's going in the short term. So we might get a better entry. We might get 300. So I'm like really wanted to get in on it, and I think our average price is like 365 or something around there. But then I'm like, yeah, but that's just so close to our average price. Like, I'd rather get it, I'd rather scale in and add on, average up if it goes above 400, than add again at, at 350, at 350 or whatever. It's like practically the same amount.
Yeah.
So if it goes down to 300 or 320, 325 is really like where I'd add another position to it for our long-term account.
Yep.
And then, hopefully average up again. But it's hard not to, because it still looks so good. And I feel good about it at 340. I feel great about it, but I also know that there's a lot of, the trend just isn't really in our favor right now.
Yeah, it's got to change direction somewhere. And that's kind of been the struggle for me, is why I haven't pulled the trigger on Zoom. Like, I have a close eye on it. It just hasn't changed direction yet. It just continues to sell off. And over the last couple of days, really Monday, Tuesday, it actually looked as if it was going to have a good, maybe potential reversal. But now that it's broken over some crucial supports, and it broke through 345, which was a crucial support for it, and now trying to close a gap that I'm seeing here. You guys can look at this chart here. It's now trying to close a gap all the way down to 327 at this point. So if it gets down that low, I almost have to, I don't know. It's almost kind of like one of those things. How do you not start buying it? At least start buying it down there in the 330 area, 320, high 320s. I asked somebody, Acosta Conti, I just saw it catch my eye, asked about why Zoom. The biggest reason as far as why Zoom's concerned is because we've been talking about this for a long time, about how remote work is not going anywhere, and how we think that it's going to continue to roll into 2020, 2022. It's the future of the way people work now. And Zoom is now at the forefront of that. They're also getting into so many other things. Let's not forget that they haven't yet to have monetized school systems, because they were giving that away for free. So now that, they have exposure there, probably more revenue coming their way as far as that's concerned. Emails, all that stuff, business solutions. Zoom is going to continue to roll here. And the only reason that this is selling off that I can think of is because people think that the vaccine is going to have everybody going back to business as usual, when it's going to be completely different, and they couldn't be further from the truth.
Yeah, when we look at next year, the tough thing for Zoom is the earnings and the growth. I mean, it saw incredible growth that they'll never be able to attain again, like the 390% growth, like that type of stuff ain't going to happen year over year.
Yeah.
But I don't think people realize there's still going to be really solid growth. You should be able to see 30% growth. And to your point, the churn rate isn't going to be there. I don't believe that people are going to leave Zoom. I think they're going to keep the people, and there's going to be more adopters.
Yeah.
But there are so many, there's certainly some headwinds that you could bring up, and there's some bear cases, but I think there's overwhelmingly more cases on the tailwind side, on the bull side. And I'll say it again, the education industry who uses Zoom is not paying for it. Zoom isn't charging them as long as this lockdown is still in place, or like as long as we're not fully back.
Yeah.
And so not only is that users that they have to adopt to fall in love with it, and they're going to use it after they go back, like they're not getting rid of it. That's a whole base that they can now monetize.
Yeah.
And so that's one industry that's going to explode next year. And the healthcare industry is going to be huge for Zoom as well.
Yep.
I would argue those are going to end up being their two biggest industries when the dust settles for all this stuff. So that's not even mentioning the other things they have in the works outside of their core competency. So big things for Zoom. Yeah, I'm not the long-term account unless something changes in their strategy or their plan. I am not selling Zoom in the long-term swing trading account. I'm not.
Yeah. Yeah, and I wouldn't either. I mean, Jason was asking, said if the opportunity is there for employees to return, wouldn't they rather have them at work than on video call, though, right? And actually, it's kind of the opposite. It costs a lot of money to have buildings to house employees in, and if they think, or if they have figured out, and most of them have, that employees can still get the same amount of work done and actually be more efficient about it. Their employees will actually be happier happier. They've already put out surveys that they are happier just working from home because they don't have to commute. And most people commute around an hour total per day. It saves them an hour of time. So, they're happier. They're still getting their work done, and it's actually more efficient than it would be if they have to go into work and commute and all that good stuff. I think it's a win-win for both sides. And so that's why people are really starting to buy into this thing. We already saw Facebook within the next 5 years is said to have at least 50% or more of their employees working remotely. So, and a lot of other big companies, especially in the tech space, are following suit. Twitter said that they don't have to come back to work if they don't want to. They can continue to work remotely for as long as they want. So, yeah, I think it's here to stay. It's only going to continue to grow.
Yeah, and we made a bold prediction about Zoom. So that's in that video as well. So check out the bold predictions video because we went all in on this one.
Yeah. Yep.
Nair says Zoom doesn't equal all work from home. It's so overvalued even as its current price. I hear that. I hear that case, and I'm not saying you're wrong. But as Brad always mentions, the market's a forward-looking vessel. So it's about growth. It's about growth opportunity.
Yeah.
Zoom doesn't need to be the only player in the market. But I said in one of the other streams, who says video conferencing? They say Zoom. Even if it's another company, They say, hey, we're Zooming. Hey, we're going to jump on a Zoom.
It's a household term.
Might be Teams or whatever. Yeah, dude, they are firmly ingrained in their position. So, hopefully they can leverage some of their cash next year. And nothing's guaranteed, so maybe it is overpriced. Maybe.
Yeah.
But we'll see when the dust settles at the end of the year. See what happens.
Yep.
I feel really confident about it.
I do too.
Claudia agrees Zoom isn't going anywhere. Nah, it ain't moving.
Nope.
Lots of employees are not efficient and trustworthy. I'm a manager and see this a lot. Back in the dot-com bubble, right? Or the dot-com boom before the bubble, which was around 95.
Yeah.
A lot of companies were anticipating this move to what's happening now, like remote, like digital, and it never happened. And what I think it was people in leadership were like baby boomers and older, just had trouble changing with the times. And so I've seen it at work. I'm sure you've seen it at work, where I've seen employees that are just like, I get more stuff done at home than at work. And but these old heads wanted to punch the clock, 9 to 5, have to be here, have to see you. And the reality is, yes, some people need to learn about discipline and some people need to adjust. But what they expected to happen in 2000 or 95 never happened. It's been building up to now. And I believe that this is the shift that they expected. And so people are going to become more efficient. And for those who are in business, the model is called results-oriented work. Right. So you're not based on how many hours you work. Right. It's your production. And you're going to see businesses starting to shift. So it doesn't matter whether you come in. What matters is, here's the number you have to hit it. I don't care how you do it. Here are your deliverables. Mm-hmm. That's what's going to be important. And you can argue with me all you want, but go into any corporate job and just talk to people who are like, hey, would you rather be at home? Would you rather not pay exorbitant amount for daycare? Would you rather not make this commute? Most of them will say, I'd rather just work from home when I want to. And so I think that's what we're going to see is more people are going to be like, hey, I'm going to go to these companies that offer remote work the majority of the time. And then other people are going to realize I got to do it to get talent. I got to offer the same thing to get talent.
Well, and there have been early adopters of this. You look at Netflix, for example, and their entire employee handbook is based off of results-oriented work. And that is how they've been able to become who they are. All the way up to their CEO. Once you get to a point to where they don't feel as if either you're providing any more value to the company or, you could be better served in other areas, even in other companies, they just tell you. And they're not shy about it. They're very candid. And it's not in a mean or derogatory manner. It's just, okay, we're done this project. We're not going to try to find another place for you just because we don't want to deal with a turnover. We're just done with this project, and we'll give you a good recommendation for somewhere else or whatever. But we're not going to just find a place for you to find a place for you. And it's interesting that you say that because they also have unlimited vacation time because they're like, get your work done and you can go on a month-long vacation, whatever. Like,
and people thought that was crazy too.
Yeah.
And the companies that have employed that have not rolled it back.
Nope. So
GE actually does that.
Yeah. There's a lot of other ones now that have adopted that. It's crazy.
So, the one thing that Facebook had mentioned as well was they realized the talent pool that opened up now that they're not confined to the limitations of where they're based.
Yeah.
Right. Do you want somebody who's face to face that is like above average? Or what if you can get somebody excellent that is in London or, Chicago or wherever? Like the fact that you can, or some podunk town, hey, we now get access to everybody really theoretically in the world.
Yep.
Now that we're not confined to you have to go into the office. So if you're a company, once you realize that, that's a game changer.
Facebook has already been very vocal about that, about how they've been able to shift the way that they hire people because now they can do it globally instead of having to worry about them all coming to Silicon Valley. Yeah,
for sure. So, we'll see how Zoom plays out. I know, there's a couple stocks that we kind of we plant our feet in the sand firmly. But to be clear, we were out of this and now we're moving back in. So it's not like we're just blindly like riding this thing, all the way down. Right. Like, we were out of this. Yeah. It's time.
Yeah, it's been one of my biggest wins all year. I mean, I talked about this at around $116 a share back in March and April, about this being a huge mover. Did not expect this to move to $588 per share since when I first started talking about it. But man, what a ride this has been. And, waiting for this to pull back down. And it seems as if we're getting to a point to where it might be reasonable to start thinking about getting into another position on Zoom.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing, side topic, that I wanted to shift over, and Bunny Pranks Gone Wrong mentioned it, remind me about it, was asked about the Snowflake expiration, so the lockup expiration date, which I don't think it happened today, Nate. I actually think it happened a couple weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken. I think it happened on the 15th. The full expiration is in March, so I don't, I think a lot of those IPO companies are pulling back. You're seeing them pull back. Crowd, Peloton, Airbnb. Is this end of year profit taking?
Could be. I mean, it's hard to really determine.
Yeah. So, I mean, overall, the thing to remember Snowflake had a ridiculous run.
Yeah.
Right? Like Snowflake had a ridiculous run. CrowdStrike had a great run. And I think these should still do well. I'm not yet ready to consider getting into Snowflake, but CrowdStrike is one that is kind of like on the fringes of my radar to think about getting in. But I still feel good about all those. But I will probably wait until March for the full expiration to be done and see what the reaction to that is.
Yeah.
I think saying like full expiration, like the majority of it, the lion's share of it, I think that's going to create a little bit of nervousness and fear and a bit of a sell-off. And I think that may be an opportunity in March, and I'm willing to wait.
Yeah, I mean, Snowflake definitely looks like it's finally coming back down to somewhat reasonable areas. I still think that I could see Snowflake coming back down to at least 270, perhaps even in the mid 200s, and that's when I would probably consider getting into. See some of you guys talking about Tesla. Yeah, Tesla did sell off, and I did in fact stop out. Here's the nice thing about this: I sold out for a loss, right? Nobody likes a loss, but the thing of it is that I put a stop in for a couple dollars. It was like $30. So I lost $30 whole dollars on this Tesla. And again, it was a day trade just to see what the setup looked like. It looked really good. And once it breaks out of that pattern, then there's a really good chance it continues to come down. Sure enough, it did that. So instead of what would be now probably around $100 loss or so, I only lost about $30. So I'm good with it. Is what it is. So I'll be out of that one for good. Well, not for good, but for good today. Not going to worry about getting back in. I saw a couple of other... I think that was it. I was talking about Snowflake and Tesla. So yeah, I just wanted to touch on that real quick.
Yeah. And just so you guys are aware that are asking a bunch of questions. So we actually have a closing bell live stream for our members. So if you're a member asking questions at 3:30, there'll be a post in the community tab with the link. So that time, 3:30 to about 4:15, 4:30 is solely dedicated to your questions. And if you're not in the crew, click the join button. It's in the description. It's also next to the subscribe button, Brad.
Yes.
For the chat.
Yep.
And so you can click join and you join the crew. You'll get a daily watch list. You'll get the live stream, which we do the closing bell on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 3:30. So you'll be able to see the close with us. Sometimes we make a trade here and there, which I wanted to point out for anybody in the group Zynga trade, this was the day that we're out of it. So I was already out of it. It was either $10 a share or end of year. I got out when it hit $10 a share. So if you're in the community trade, the community trade's over. You want to stay in cool. But that was another one. We're 2 for 2 on the community trades.
Yeah, it was Zynga. So Zynga, when are we getting Zynga? High $7 range, somewhere around there?
I don't remember.
It's like $7.96 or $7.86, and then it ran all the way up to $10. So that was a nice little flip. The other one was Callaway.
Yeah, it was below 8 because I made 25% on it.
Yeah. So and then the other one was Callaway that made a huge move. These are just fun ones that we like to get in when they've been beaten down, and we start to build a case for why they should be why you should be bullish on them, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, we just talked ourselves into it. Might as well, and then they end up working out. So, sometimes we just like to have fun with that. It's not that we don't take our trading seriously, but at certain points, you look at certain setups and you're like, oh, I never even planned on this one being a trade, but now that I look at it, it looks pretty darn good. So ended up getting into Callaway and Zynga for those reasons. But yeah, all part of the crew, all because of the crew. That's going to do it for us, guys. If you're not part of the crew, we will see you at Stockwatch Sunday in 2021, and we will be in our new studio. Can't wait to broadcast from there. Humble beginnings. We're getting things going. We got some furniture in there. We got some paint going on yesterday. Things are starting to come together slowly but surely, but we're super excited to be broadcasting from Stockwatch Sunday for our first live stream in 2021 at our new studio. So if you guys aren't part of the crew, we'll see you on Sunday. If you are, we'll see you guys in 1 hour. And that's going to do it for me. Happy New Year, my man.
Same to you, brother. For those interested in that Tesla video where I take the deeper dive, I actually just put it in the comments for the live chat if you want to check it out. But yeah, Happy New Year to everybody. It's been an incredible year. I know it's been tough for some. Hopefully this crew has been something that's been a little bit of a reprieve from the chaos that goes out in the outside world and any of the tough times you're going through. But you always have the crew here. We're going to do it better next year. We're just constantly trying to make this better. So We appreciate you guys. We love you guys. And I love you, Don. Don Front, I love you. And I love you, Brad. And shout out to my boy With Water, baby. With Water. Check it out, withwater.us.
There you go. Have a great one, guys. Have a happy New Year. Stay safe, and we'll see you next year.